All right, so I'm here with Marshall Scott with Pistols Firing. Welcome, Marshall.
Thank you for having me.
So we're obviously in full swing with the basketball transfer portal, getting lots of news these past few weeks. Both J.C. Hoyt and Steve Lutz making some moves. Hoyt with some major additions. Let's definitely start with those. Earlier this week, we had the addition of Audie Crooks, which was huge. Did that immediately change your expectations for next season?
Yeah, definitely. I think just in general, after the season ends, it was a promising group. Everybody was like sort of looking forward to the future with that group. Everybody left, and I think the general sentiment was like, "Oh shucks, Oklahoma State just doesn't have the financial support to compete in women's basketball right now." And then all this crazy stuff happened. So yeah, I think Audie adding to the team. I think CBS released like a way too early top 25 today, and Oklahoma State was number 12, which just feels crazy considering where everybody felt whenever the portal initially opened. So yeah, I think with her, with the addition of Liv McGill, obviously, I'm really excited about the Division II Player of the Year to Alexa Weeder. I think Oklahoma State's in a as good a spot on the women's basketball front as they've been in some time.
So definitely, she's winning big in the portal with players like Crooks, McGill, Sneed, and Weeder. What do you think she's doing differently compared to other programs? J.C. Hoyt, that is.
Yeah, that's a good question, and one that I'm not honestly sure I've got the answer to. I think that, excuse me, I think she's always been good at finding talent. I think that you even see that with Alina Girardi, who left in the portal. She was injured her senior year of high school, so not a lot of schools were after her. JC was constantly still pursuing that option, and I just feel like anytime the team has had to reset, JC's really good at finding talent. And obviously the talent was obvious in this point with Audie Crooks and with Liv McGill. But I think that's a lot of work that's put in, and not only, there was a lot of competition to get these girls to Stillwater. So I think it comes down to talent evaluation, which it was obvious in this case. But then you got to get the girls on campus. You've got to, in the modern age, come up with a plan to have the funds to get these girls on campus. So I think there's like a lot of new age stuff that 10, 15 years ago, nobody talked about in college sports that JC Hoyt is really good at.
Yeah, for sure. Switching to Steve Lutz and the Cowboys, I've really been enjoying the thrill of his gifts that he posts when like he's got something new coming, and it's been kind of an adventure for me posting at 9, and then it's like they release the name at 5:06 p.m. and I'm rushing to get it on the show. So there's obviously one that he posted this morning, and I saw we had the addition of Mekhi Ragland, or his return. But I also saw that you posted on Twitter that this gift is unrelated to the news of Mekhi Ragland. So I was wondering what you could tell me.
Yeah, I am under state secrets of not releasing any names, but yeah, there's another player out there that Oklahoma State's got committed. I think that they've done a good job. This is the men's portal is way different than the women's portal in that the prices are just bluntly pretty ridiculous. I think getting a Luka Bogovac, the kid from North Carolina, to come in, he's 6'6", can facilitate, can shoot the three. Cashy Nat was an excellent find out of Sam Houston, Conference USA's Defensive Player of the Year. Played really well at the NAIA level before the season. So yeah, I think they're doing some good things in the portal. There's more to come. I think right now, with the addition that's not been announced yet, I think they're at 12 of a possible 15 players on the roster. So they're getting close to being done. Picked up another freshman the other day. So I think things are looking up. I think this team's going to be more of Lutz's style. I think Lutz, maybe overcorrected from his first team that was really good defensively, and wanting some offense. Didn't go well on the defensive end last year, and I think he's really getting back to sort of where he's more comfortable, and that's guys like Cashy Nat, that's guys like Latrell Almond, who the McDonald's All-American they're bringing in, some real high motor type players. So I'm always looking forward to Oklahoma State basketball. It's let me down plenty of times, but they've got me back. I'm ready again.
Well, I'm excited to find out who it is. Looking like people with guys like Luka and Cashy coming in, what kind of identity do you think this new roster is trying to build?
Yeah, I think it starts on the defensive end. I think that's something that Lutz is going to want to get back to after last season. Bogovac isn't necessarily the elite defender, but he's 6'6", moves well, facilitates well. But yeah, guys like Cashy Nat, guys like Latrell Almond, the Anthony Falesi, the freshman that they got yesterday, or I don't even know what today is, Tuesday, as we're talking about
Yeah.
this. But Anthony Falessi, he's another guy that's high motor. So I think there's a lot of that. Benjamin Ahmed, a guy that they're bringing back. He's always getting his hands on the ball. So I think this is going to be a team that is maybe more stereotypical Oklahoma State and defensive first and man-to-man defense and stuff like that. So I think the identity of this group is going to be quite a bit different than last year's.
And then obviously we lost a lot of players like Victorious Miller, and a lot of their shooters. It was at the top 10, 9 of the. No, that was women's. Sorry, I'm confused. But what do you think OSU is losing the most from these people that we lost to the transfer portal?
Yeah, I'd hate to say not much. I think Jalen Curry was a big, a marginal loss. I think keeping him or Kanye Clary, I think it became like an or situation. Clary just been more consistent throughout the latter halves of the year. But I don't know. I think a lot of people were sort of flipping out whenever all these people were leaving. But this is a team that did make the NCAA tournament again, and Oklahoma State's it's been a while. It's been since Cade Cunningham, but the standard at Oklahoma State is to make the NCAA tournament. So I think of terms of what's going out, what's going in. Obviously they're losing some scoring with DJ. Jalen Curry provided a little bit of that. I thought Robert Jennings was sort of a big loss. He's a guy that didn't get to play last year because of a hip injury. And then he left. So I think right now, like I said, I think that this group that's upcoming is maybe more in Lutz's mold. So I imagine he's going to be a little bit more maybe excited to coach this group than, not that he didn't enjoy coaching the last one, but I think there were a lot of headaches in terms of, the defensive side of the ball that they just couldn't quite get figured out.
Yeah. And we have a couple of returners like Kanye Clary. How do you think these players provide stability in the middle of all this turnover?
Yeah, I think it's pretty big just because, last year Lutz really only brought back, I think there were 3 players that got brought back from, last season. And that was Kurt Cole, who's a walk-on, who, great guy to have around the program, but wasn't necessarily playing. Andrea Vukovic was hurt a lot last season. Played quite a bit towards the end of this year, got hurt again. And then Robert Jennings, who returned and then wasn't able to play because he was hurt. So I think there was like a lot lost in terms of, him stapling down his culture, what he likes to do. And I think a lot of that does get brought back. Obviously it starts with Kanye Clary, the point guard, just having, it's like having a returning quarterback, a guy that runs the show. And then those freshmen, they know what to expect whenever, Steve Lutz walks in a room. Those practices he doesn't let us into, and I imagine it's because they're rather intense. So, I think that's a bit of a shock whenever I talk to players for the first time and they've come out of their first Steve Lutz practice. They're like, that's the craziest thing, I've ever been a part of. So I think having guys that have sort of been in that war and gone through those hardships with Lutz, I think that'll be good to sort of bring those other guys up to speed as quickly as possible.
Would you say it's fair to say the women's program is ahead of the men's in terms of portal success right now?
Absolutely. I think if this was the women's team, it'd be like, or if this was, if the men's team was the women's team, it'd be like grabbing somebody, Darren Peterson or something like that in Audie Crook. So, I think so. I think they're, ahead. Some of that probably has to do with the fact that Hoyt's been here a little bit longer. She's maybe a little more comfortable in what she's looking for and sort of the program at large. I think the women are much further ahead of the men. I do think it's maybe more competitive in the NIL market for the men and stuff like that. But that's not a knock on what JC is doing at all. I think they're they're going to be a top 15 team in the preseason next year, and that's just not where the men are at right now.
Well, that's all I have for you today. Thank you for joining us, Marshall.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions for me or anything else?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, well, I really appreciate you hopping on with me.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime.